right, go ahead and sit on down.
How do I look?
Sit down like right about here. We should be good. All right, so we're back. What's going on, YouTube? It's been a while since we've been on the couch, right?
It has been a while.
Yeah. So
This is kind of like where we started.
it is. So it's kind of a little special, right?
It is special, and it's
Well, it's
also.
always special because when I'm with you.
Oh, thanks, babe. It's different too because I feel like I'm a lot bigger now.
You are a lot bigger. Yeah, you have two people.
So we're back to our starting point, and we wanted to sit down this time and have some dialogue. It's been a little while since we just got to kind of slow it down and talk to the people.
Slow it
I guess.
down because we've had a lot going on.
Yes, we have had a lot going on, and today's episode is really about our preparation. I think we talked about on a previous episode. Excuse me.
You okay?
Yeah.
You something to drink?
I'm good.
You gonna make it? You gonna make it through the episode?
I'm fine. Yes, I don't know.
Okay.
My voice is sometimes more challenging, so if it sounds funny, I don't know. For some reason, even last time when I had Mitchell and Madison, my voice like fluctuated. It got kind of deep at one point. I don't know what. I don't know. And then there was one point. I'm completely off topic, but there was one point where I couldn't really even sing. Like I would try to sing. I'm not a singer by any chance, but I love to sing, and it was.
This episode is not about singing at all. So I wanna make sure that was crystal clear. This is not about singing.
So I would try to sing, I like church and stuff, sing along, but it's like the words wouldn't even come out because my voice had fluctuated. It was, I don't know, it was weird. So anyway.
So it's a good thing we're going virtual for church right now.
Anyhow.
Go ahead.
If my voice fluctuates as I talk or if I'm having a hard time catching my breath, you can just blame it on baby Noah. Okay, so today's episode, we're going to be talking about some of the harder topics, I guess. So we've kind of had some harder topics as we've had a few episodes, and this one is just going to be another look into our lives and some of the things that we're thinking about and doing as we prepare for adding a third child into the equation. So we're going to talk about some race conversations, some different conversations, what's going on in the world, what we deal with in our family, and how we've handled some of those things.
Absolutely.
So, one disclaimer, we are not behavioral experts. We're not
No, we are not.
psychologists. We're not any of that stuff. But
We're just parents
We're just parents. And
that live in America.
we do live in America.
That is correct.
So we just wanted to share with you some of the things that we've experienced and some of the things that even our children have experienced and how we handle certain situations. And I think the thing that's important, at least for me, I feel like I've expressed it a little bit previously, but one of the things that I really try to be conscious of is like family dynamic, that we just like really operate as a cohesive family. One of the reservations that I had as far as having more children was just like how would the family dynamic be impacted as a mother with two children already and as a wife and just other responsibilities. I already feel like I'm pulled in a lot of different directions, and it was hard for me to like imagine because I felt spread thin sometimes. I'm like, how can I even be conscious of bringing someone else into the equation and being aware of their needs and trying to meet their needs and all of those things. And I think the other thing too is with all that's going on in the world right now, I mean, I'm sure if you're watching YouTube, you're pretty up to speed with everything that's going on, but
Really, at any time, honestly.
at any time. And thank you, because it's not even just a thing of right now. It's this, there's things that are going on that have been going on for hundreds of years. I think it's more out there in the light, but it's something that has always been going on. And as I think about like, why would we even want to bring another child into this world? Being very honest, that's something that has gone through my mind. But obviously, as we've shared with you guys, we know that there's always a master plan, and we kind of moved ourselves out of the equation and said, beyond what we want and what we desire, like what is the future for the Moore family.
Exactly.
So that's that. I don't know if you have any other thoughts about that
No,
specifically,
I
but
share a lot of the same thoughts that you have. I think it's a valid point, a valid question. And one of the questions that I definitely had put through my brain as far as for, wow, do we really want to bring more into the world considering what all's going on? So that's what we're going to be talking about for this episode today.
yeah, because obviously we're here.
We
We
are.
have, I don't know if you can see them. We're not too far away, so it's
It
happening.
is happening.
We're adding to the family, and the biggest thing for us is to just be conscious and kind of be aware and strategize on how we're going to do our best to, because also too, as parents, we feel that we have a big responsibility to put our best foot forward, to impart into our children, to be examples for our children, and to do our very best in raising them. And so, based on those things, and knowing that we're adding more, what are some strategies? What are some things that we can do to help prepare us for that? And I think the biggest thing is probably learning from some of the things that we've experienced with Mitchell and Madison, our current two, that are 6 years old for now, because they'll be 7 soon. But I think we can take some of those experiences and obviously apply them
Absolutely.
as we think about raising another little one. And it's interesting because times will even change by the time he's like old enough
Absolutely.
to
It's
experience
always
things.
changing constantly.
Yes.
It's like yeah, it's always
An
changing.
evolution, I
Like an
guess, of
evolution.
different.
I was going to
I
say
don't
that, but I didn't
know.
know if that was the right word. So it's just a ever changing. It's ever changing. There we go. That's probably the best way to
Yeah.
say it. It's just ever changing.
So things are going to continue to change. Experiences will always be different, I think, even for each individual child. And so
Absolutely.
it's really important for us to be in tune to what is going on with each of our children, because they both have very different personalities. They have different ways of communicating and expressing their feelings. And I think that that's something that's probably helped us so far. So I think that my number one thing, and one of the things that I'm very adamant about, is to be very much in the moment when we're with our children. And so, very rarely am I preoccupied on my phone or any other thing when I'm around the children. When we come home from school or when we have dinner, I try to really make sure that I'm not distracted with whatever's going on, that I'm really focused on listening to them, to watching their behaviors and different things like that, so I can pick up on what's going on in kind of their world per se. And so I think that that's one of the key ways that we're able to really be in tune to what's really going on. So I don't know if you have different observations, but
No, I agree with you. In addition to that, though, I think you have to understand that they learn differently and they need to be shown love in different types of ways. So in most cases, kids spell love instead of love, they spell it as time. So that's vitally important with regards to that. But even in that, like the kids have, because they're different people, they have different ways that they like to express their love, and there's different ways that they like to actually spend their time with regards to love.
this is all very true. So I feel like you went in a whole different
I
direction.
did.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right,
That
my
we could
bad.
probably do
We do
another.
a whole nother. So if you guys like to hear more about that, please like, subscribe, comment below, and we can go a little bit deeper into that. But I'm sorry. So since I didn't answer your question, what was the question again?
Ways that you can figure out what's going on in their world.
Oh, one of the easiest ways to do it is really just to ask questions to the kids, and not just how was your day, but more or less what exactly did you do today? Who did you play with? Another question is how did any type of situation that happened, how did that make you feel with regards to their day? And I think really asking them how they felt a lot of times can help you to uncover some things that may be going on, because we're not with the kids the whole day. There's a certain period of time to which they're with their teachers and they're in their classrooms, they're learning at their level, and we're not with them. So that being the case, you definitely have to be in tune with checking in with your kids.
Yeah, and I would say open-ended questions are very important. So the
Yes.
whys and hows and whos and whats. That's something that we do on a frequent basis, just like some of the examples that Larry gave. And I will say for us, one of the things that really opened my eyes, actually last year, they were in kindergarten. And So the other thing too is you can kind of sometimes pick up on cues from them, like if they're starting to act different, like outside of their normal behavior and different things like that. You can tell something may be going on, and so that's when you can kind of be like, "Wow, let me dig into some of these things that we're talking about."
Absolutely. Yeah.
But one specific situation that is very distinct in my mind, I remember last year they came home from school and they started to talk about how white people and black people, they said something along the lines of like, "Mommy, black people couldn't used to, drink out of the same water fountains and different things." And it really, I mean, I think, I don't know what I was thinking, but I wasn't really prepared at that moment to like, wow,
Talk about it.
previous to then, I don't think that we really ever talked about like color in our house, because every time anything remotely close to it came up, we could tell that they didn't see color yet. Like we could tell that everybody was just everyone. And so we were like, well, we don't really want to say anything to make them feel differently. But then when it came up at school, we were like, wow, okay,
Definitely
this
need to
is
address
something
it. Yeah.
that we need to address. I'll be honest, I was a little bit annoyed that the school maybe didn't give us a heads up that they were talking about that topic, just because, I mean, it was like for us.
Well, there's pros and cons. There's two
pros and
different.
cons,
There's two way
true.
different. I mean, one is good that they talked about it, right?
Yes.
But at the same time, the other end of it is, I guess we kind of wish we would have had. Not I guess. We wish we would have had a more of a heads up, so we can kind of, yeah.
Agreed. Like I feel like I would have been disappointed if the school didn't bring it up.
Exactly. It's like a
But
catch
at the
22.
same time, I was just, I think for me, I was a little bit disappointed that they learned from the school versus us first. Like I
can
think
agree
if
with you on
we
that one.
maybe had a heads up, we could have at least kind of prepped them for the conversation versus them coming home and having this completely different perspective on life that we were like, oh, we didn't know that you knew about that.
Because it's
quite
not that
yet.
we weren't going to have a conversation. We were
Yeah.
just going to, yeah, just wait a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, they came home and they started talking about that, and so it opened up our eyes and it opened
Absolutely.
up a whole new level of conversation with the kids. And so we started to say, well, why? And I think too, one of the things that you have to be very conscious of, at least what I try to do, is not by my facial expressions or different things, kind of give cues to the kids in terms of like,
That's kind of hard for you because you
yeah,
do have facial
I do
expressions.
have a lot of facial expressions, but I try not to give them cues like, instead of kind of reacting, well, what do you mean the black people couldn't do this and that? It was just more so like, oh, really? So tell me more about what was going on. Why couldn't they? Why did people feel that way? And then more so like, well, what do you think? And so that really opened up the dialogue around how they were feeling about it, what they thought, what their perspective was, and then I think it opens up the opportunity for a teaching moment. And I think that's where we really started to talk to them about, everyone, just because your skin looks different, everyone is the same. We're all created equal. We should
Absolutely.
always treat each other kindly and things like that, which are things that conversations that we've had with them before, but it was just very important in that moment to have even more dialogue and kind of get a pulse check on them and see how it was impacting them in their world. And so at this point, they're aware, of that. They're aware of different things. So we proactively,
Proactively.
based on that experience, we're like, okay, how can we learn from this? So there's certain things that are going on that we're like, okay, we'll have a conversation. Hey, did you guys know that there's, this happening right now?
Right.
Or how do you guys, have you heard anything about
Right.
this? That kind of thing, because we feel like we want them to, for the most part, at least while we can be involved, kind
Absolutely.
of hear it from us, but then we also want them to feel comfortable with coming to us with those type of things. And so for me, that was like a eye-opening experience, and it was kind of practice for what's to come, because we know obviously there's going to be a lot more things outside of those specific things that we're
Absolutely.
going to have to really address with them. And it just goes back to the point of being aware, of talking to them. And I think being aware, but then also to not leading the conversation, more so listening to them and
Absolutely.
listening to what they're saying. I know there's even been a couple instances where Mitchell in his own way and Madison in her own way
Because they're
said,
two different people.
yes, they're
Two different
two
personalities.
people. But they both, at two different times, like probably months in between each other or something like that, that these things came out. But in two different times, they said that they wanted Mitchell wanted to have, what did he say? Slicked back hair?
I think it was slick back there. Yeah, yeah,
And Madison said that she wanted to have straight hair and she didn't want to have, one day she had it curly or something like that. And she's like, I don't want to have curly hair. I want to have straight hair. And so my reaction was, well,
teachable moment.
yes, I was like, well, this is a very good teachable moment. So we said, well, why do you say that? Why do you want to have, that type of hair? And so then we were able to pull out of them kind of the genesis for this. And it makes sense based on the environment
It
that they're
does.
in.
It does.
It makes sense why they would feel that way or why they would think that. And so we got on their level and kind of understood why they were saying that. But then after that, we reinforced how beautiful they were. And
Exactly.
we
How their
reinforced.
uniqueness is beautiful, and how that is something that is very impactful with regards
Yeah.
to that. So,
Yeah.
definitely wanted to drive home that message.
Yeah, and I think too, like relating to them on their level. And so one of the things that I think I said to Madison or whomever, whichever one it was in that moment, was like, "Can you imagine?" After we kind of talked about it and broke it down a little bit, I said, "Can you imagine if everyone was walking around and had the same exact clothes on and looked the same exact way and talked the same exact way?" I said, "Can you imagine what it would be like? It would be so boring."
Boring.
And they were kind of like, oh, like that makes sense.
Makes sense.
And so, to Larry's point, we really try to reinforce that it's important to be unique. That it's important even if you have a difference. Those things don't matter. And I think another tool that we've used too is like some books. So just they love to read, which I'm thankful for.
Very
They
thankful for.
absolutely love to read, and so we also use things that they're interested in to
Absolutely.
incorporate those things into their lives. And so, we read books and books that show people that look different and talk different and different things like that. Even to something simple that we kind of integrated over the last couple of years is like Madison with her dolls. We make sure that they don't just all look one way, that she has a
There's a
variety,
variety. There's diversity
within
with that.
exactly.
Yeah,
There's
absolutely.
diversity with her dolls and things like that. And we also try to expose them to different families of prominence, I guess,
Different cultures.
different cultures, and we say different things. And then sometimes even as we're exposing them to these things, I know recently another example too that came up was like certain women, they didn't think that women could be in the army and different things like that, and we'll expose them to that and show them examples and talk about that. And you can see kind of their minds like, oh wow, like I didn't know that. And so when they give us those cues of certain things that they have a perspective on that may not necessarily be correct, we'll kind of show them examples and integrate it. Not like, okay, well, that's how you feel. Sit down and we're gonna do this right now. It's not like that. It'll just be like, okay, now's the time. In our family movie time or whatever it is, let's watch a movie about this. And
Absolutely.
then
Because they love to watch movies.
yes.
Just they
So
love to watch movies.
yes. So we find things that they're already interested in and integrate it in a very subtle way
Right.
into what they already like to do so that they can just be more exposed and more aware.
Well, I think you hit the nail right on the head is that you have to reach them at their level. So to your point, it wasn't like, oh, let's sit down and have a conversation about it. Even though we did have a conversation about it, it was a little bit covert and kind of snuck it in there. Obviously to drive home the point, but just to drive home the point. Yeah, really, for them.
Yeah. So I think one thing too, so I'm kind of taking it back and I meant to start here, is one thing that people always ask us, I feel like,
What's
is
that?
like, what is it like to have twins? And I think back to like the baby phase and they're like, oh my goodness, I don't see how you did it. Like, wasn't it so hard and
That
different
that
things like
that
that?
was kind of tough though. Yeah, it was.
It was tough.
But it was like a blur though to me, at least.
It
Like
was, yeah.
like everything just happened so fast. Like
Everything that happened fast. And it
happened
was,
fast, and it was a lot. Like it was two people. Like fortunately, I will say this: is Amber did a phenomenal job of getting the kids on a schedule. Like anybody that's watching this and you're getting ready to have twins, get them on a schedule as soon as possible. Because if you don't, you won't get any sleep. Like ever.
yes.
Like never ever.
So Larry's
It's a
ready
lot.
to go into another episode again.
Ah,
Talking,
dude. Yeah. All right.
talking about
We got new material for another more episodes then.
new material. Okay, so where I was going with that is people would just ask, "Isn't it so hard? How do you do it? All that kind of stuff." But based on the dialogue in this conversation, it just reminds me that every phase is like so different.
Oh man.
So, I mean,
Well, not only is every phase different, but like you're constantly learning new things. Like as a parent, as they're obviously learning new things as a kid, so you're constantly changing, like
yeah.
constantly. Like man, it's like every milestone that they meet. Like as soon as you figure out how to kind of like address it as like a parent, then they hit another milestone. Like they go to like another level.
Yeah, so I would say like some of the things that we're talking about and being
Yeah,
in tune with what your children are doing, like that has been a new phase for us, and that's been, I don't want to say a
yeah.
challenge because I think that
It's not a challenge.
we like Larry and I will have
It's an
kind of like
opportunity.
an opportunity. That's true.
SWOT analysis.
Okay, Larry's going corporate. So, but Larry and I will kind of strategize and have these conversations before we even address the kids, like, hey, this is what's going on, or what did you think about what they said, and different things like that, and like, how are we going to address it? So, the point that I was making with that is that like each phase is very different, and so
Very.
while we're going through these different things now, will be some different phases in the future,
Absolutely.
and as we add a third, that's going to be a different phase
It is.
because
Yeah, it
Noah's
will.
going to be a newborn baby. His needs are going to be so different than what Mitchell and Madison's needs are. And we have to just be prepared for that. And so that was really kind of the point of this episode, was to talk about some of the things that we've experienced with them and how we're preparing ourselves and
For
our
the next one.
family for kind of that next phase, but then also integrating a newborn baby into the mix. So it's gonna cause us that much more to be very intentional. And I think we may have talked about, I don't
And you have to
remember.
adapt.
You do have to adapt. Yes, you
It's
do.
key.
Um,
Me, I talked about what?
we may have talked about some of the things that we're doing when the baby comes in terms of like preparing, like, making sure that we still take each child out individually and
Absolutely.
spend some time with them and things like that. So there's some other things that we're doing as well. Maybe that's a whole nother episode. I don't want to get
Now,
too
see, she
winded,
said all that stuff about me.
but I
You
preference
said all.
it.
She said all that stuff about me, but then
But I
she's going.
prefaced it. I didn't like go into it for.
But see, people that watch, they know
Okay.
what's coming. They know. They know. They know. They just know which way.
Okay. Right. Okay.
But we
So
did buy books, though. I do know that. That's one point I wanted to make. We did buy books. We bought some books. Actually, I take that back. They were a gift to
yes.
us, a very wonderful gift to us.
Yes.
From the baby shower. So,
Yes.
kind of like just speaking to being a big brother and being a big sister.
Yes. So I won't get off topic, but
Good.
the books were on my radar because I wanted to get them anyway, and we were gifted from the shower some
Yes.
books that really hit exactly on the head what I would have wanted to kind of communicate and started to get them exposed to. So maybe we will do another episode and get into more detail on some of the things that we're doing to prepare the children
That's
and
good.
some of the activities and different things. I don't know. So I think that's it.
If you guys want to know more about all the different subtopics we talked about, comment below and let us know so that way we can actually deliver that information to you guys, just to be more impactful to you guys.
Yes. So I think that's it for this one. It kind of feels good to just sit down and have a chat again, maybe.
Yes. Versus now, I do like the vlogs in the car though. Personally speaking, because they're just
Why do
like
you like the vlogs in
they're
the
just
car
like
so
easy
much?
to do like, but they're not as comfortable as this couch. I do know that. So
So which one do you guys like? Do you guys like the vlog style? You like to just sit down and have a conversation with us? What do you like? So that's it. That's our perspective, like I
our
said,
perspective.
on some of the things that we've experienced as parents. Oh, that was the last thing that I was going to say.
What is it?
Based on our experience, I think that no matter, again, my opinion, no matter what your family dynamic is, no matter what you look like, no matter who you are, I think it's important to have these type of conversations with your children. We only touched on a few of our experiences. There's more that we can share, but we're not
Many
going
more.
to. But there's different things that have been said. There's different things that they've experienced. There's different things, even us standing right there as their parents and seeing different children interact with our children and seeing how different parents even interact with our children. I mean, we're just like, wow, this is real. Like, this is really happening. And so I say all that to say that it's important that I think that you have the conversation with your children about different things that are going on, and how you should treat others. But I think even bigger than that is leading by example. So we're very conscious, even though we
Absolutely.
don't, in our household, we don't like bash people, and we don't, we're conscious of our language, and just the way that we articulate certain things, because the kids, no matter what you think, they're watching.
At all times, and they emulate a lot of the things that you do. So
Yes.
I couldn't agree with you more on that one at all. Like at
Yes.
all.
They're watching and they're listening to your every move, even if it's like a conversation on the phone with somebody else and the kids are not even involved. Trust me when I tell you, they are probably listening into exactly
Listening
what
and
you're
watching.
saying.
Listening
And
and
so,
watching.
yes. And so, as, so that's important because children pick up on that. And I think that I've even seen it for myself that certain things that other children are doing, I'm like, okay, that gives me a pretty good indication of what their home life is like. And
That
so
is true.
it's just important to lead by example. As many teaching moments as you would love to have, you're teaching by your actions as well. And so it's important to emulate the behavior that you want to see. And the other thing that helps us is we are a household of faith. And so
Absolutely.
that helps us, for Larry and I, to just be more in tune to what's going on with them. We pray and a lot of different things so that we can pick up on what's going on. And so that's probably the number one thing that helps us on top of everything that we just talked about. But I just wanted to mention that. That was like an important thing. Um,
You saved the best for last.
Save the best for last.
What would she do
Lead by,
without? Man,
I
I'd be
know,
coming up with
just
this stuff like,
team
wow. Team more.
team more. Okay, so lead by example. Listen to your children. All of those things. And that's it. And I actually, my voice, I think, held
Did it
up.
good? It did held up.
Did pretty good.
Now, I don't know if you guys heard it, but there was a few. The breathing was a little different.
Anywho,
But two people, remember, two people,
yes.
two
And
people.
when it was
And you've been
three,
doing such a great job. I'm very proud of you.
thank you.
Got to make some deposits in that love bank.
Here we go again. Okay, and when it was three, it was a whole. It was really really real. But
I
anyway,
can only imagine. Yeah. So
that's it. Are you gonna do it?
smash the like
Oh
button.
my goodness. Why did I have to even bring it up? Okay.
You led me down the path.
That's true. So please share your comments. We do want to hear from you. Share your comments. If you're enjoying this, please like, subscribe, share with someone that you think it might be helpful to. And
Turn on your notifications so that way when we drop a new video, you'll know that it's there.
yes. And what's the next one going to be about? Maybe, I think probably the nursery progress. Maybe. We'll see. Or maybe it'll be some of these conversations that we started to talk about that we didn't quite get through. Or budgeting, because we didn't do that one either.
No, budgeting is key. Very, very, very key.
Yes. And
Very, very
we're
key.
big on that.
Especially with two kids and yes, even with one kid. So
Even with no kids.
that's that is true. That's like 2-3 episodes we could do alone, like with regards to that. So Amber's like an avid budgeter. Like she's like a wizard with Excel spreadsheets. So again, a whole nother episode for a whole nother time. But yeah, budgeting is important. Like that is vital, very, very vital.
So maybe you guys can help us pick the next one, but we'll be working on things to share with you. So that's it for real this time.
You sure?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon.